Hey guys, it's July the 15th, 2024, and we have got a thunderstorm coming in right now, so you might hear some thunder in the background. This morning I got up and I've been working around the farm all morning trying to get some stuff knocked out before these storms come in. We're supposed to be getting some pretty bad thunderstorms this afternoon, and then it looks like it's going to be raining for the rest of the week. So I was trying to get some stuff knocked out before we got a bunch of rain. It's a hot day out here in South Carolina. But while I was doing some yard work today, I was thinking to myself, and I'm actually right now, I'm currently in the process of listening to an Audible book by Laura Brehm, and I think the name of the book's Addiction. I can't remember the name of the book. But I saw an interview that he was doing on YouTube, and I can't remember the name of the guy's podcast either that he was on. It's an English guy that does the podcast, and he was on there talking about addiction and the fact that he had written a book. And I thought a lot of the stuff that he was saying on that podcast was really interesting, so I thought, well, why not? I have an Audible subscription, so I went ahead and downloaded his audiobook the other day and haven't had an opportunity. We've been really busy this weekend doing stuff with family, and today was the first opportunity I had to actually take a listen to it. And while I was cutting my grass this morning, I was listening to him. I listened to him all morning to his book while I was doing my yard work. And there's some really good points that he makes in the book. The book's more, I think he's got a couple of them at this point, but the one that I'm listening to right now has a lot to do with the 12-step program and stuff like that. And that's not why I downloaded the book. I just wanted to hear his take on addiction and, what he thought about it. And there's a lot of really good points that he makes in the book. I would highly suggest anybody read or listen to it. I do so much research on this topic. I'm constantly watching videos on this topic, listening to audiobooks on this topic, podcasts on this topic. It's basically, most of my existence. It's all of my interest at this point now. I'm just really interested in this topic, and I just want to get to the bottom of it. And I don't know if I ever will, but I just find it interesting. And like I said, I was listening to his book this morning, and while I was listening to his book, and he talked about alcohol, in little bits and pieces, and talked about his heroin addiction and stuff like that. But my mind just kind of drifted off, and I started thinking about my own self and some things that I've been through. And one of the things that popped in my head today, and one of the things that I was thinking to myself, that I don't have to deal with anymore. And I've kind of been on a kick on this lately for some reason. I don't know why, but when I get a feeling for a video idea, I just roll with it and just go with my gut and whatever my mind tells me that day that I want to talk about. And like I was saying today, I was thinking about something that I don't have to worry about any longer. And I might at some point, just because of some odd circumstance, but for the most part, I don't have to deal with this anymore. And this is something that I used to deal with a lot when I was a drinker. And what I want to talk about today is basically throwing up in your sleep, or aspirating on your vomit. And like I said, that used to happen to me a lot. It was probably one of the scariest things about drinking that would happen to me when I would get extremely intoxicated. And for any of you guys out there who have ever experienced this, you know how frightening this can be. And I've made a video about this in the past, but we have so many new subscribers to this channel at this point now. This channel has grown by almost 1,000 subscribers in like the past 2 weeks. So there's a lot of new people here. There's 227 videos on the channel at this point now. And I know everybody's not going to go through and scroll through every video and watch every video that I've done in the past. So there will be repeat videos that I'm going to be doing, and this one today is a repeat. But like I said, I want to talk about throwing up in your sleep, because that used to happen to me a lot. And for any of you guys out there who have experienced this, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about here. But what would end up happening to me is, I would fall asleep. Often I would pass out. Um, and I was talking about this yesterday in the video where I was talking to my wife about how I used to disappear all the time, especially when we would have functions. If we had like a pool party or something at our house and we'd have a bunch of people over, I would have started drinking early that day. And, in anticipation, knowing that we had something going on at like 6 o'clock. And, I often would start getting anxious about, the event that was coming up that day or whatever. And I would start drinking that morning. And often I would be 3 sheets to the wind by the time the event started if I wasn't almost about to pass out, or if I hadn't already passed out already and, had to wake back up again. I'd wake up all groggy and hungover. But when I would disappear off at a lot of these, things, these functions that we would have or parties that we would throw at our house or whatever, I would disappear off and just go lay down and pass out because I just couldn't stay awake any longer. I would get so drunk to where I had to go to sleep. I would start feeling horrible. I would be sitting there, let's say that I was sitting at a table with a whole bunch of other people. I would start falling asleep while I was out there. People would be trying to talk to me. I couldn't understand what they were saying. I mean, I would be that wasted. And I would just get up. And I wouldn't even excuse myself or anything. I'd just get up from the table, act like I was going inside to grab another beer or something. And the next thing you know, I was in my bed, asleep with the door closed. And that happened a lot. But what happened a lot of times on those nights when I would disappear off and pass out in my bed, I would get so intoxicated that I would wake up sometimes in the middle of the night and I would not be able to breathe. And that's very scary when that happens. I would wake up in a complete panic and I could not catch my breath. I would, right then I would taste the vomit in my mouth and know that I'd thrown up. And I would know that it was in my lungs because as I tried to breathe in, there was fluid in my lungs and I could not catch a breath. And what I would always do, this happened to me, every time that this would happen to me, I would wake up afraid, couldn't get my breath, and I would flop out of the bed onto the floor on my hands and knees and try to expel the vomit out of my lungs. And, sometimes, it would come right out. Sometimes it wouldn't. Sometimes I would sit there struggling for 30 seconds or a minute trying to get it out, which felt like an eternity, especially when you can't catch your breath. And, not to mention, I was awoken out of a sleep. I was, completely out, and I would wake up not being able to breathe. So, I'm panicking. And I'm confused. I'm still half drunk from the night. And, I'm half drunk. I'm waking up in this panic. I'm confused. I don't know what's going on. I can't catch my breath. And it would take me a few seconds for me to realize what was going on. And like I said, I would be on my hands and knees just trying to get that out. And, I would be trying to cough and get it out of there. And so many times I remember I would just make myself expel it. I would just keep going and coughing, like trying to push it out until I would just start throwing up all over the floor. And as I'm sitting there, there was no thought of I'm making a mess anywhere. I just puked all over the floor after that would happen. And then I would still have some fluid in my lungs. It would be burning, and the fear that I would have from that, after waking up like that, it was horrible. And I would always tell myself whenever that would happen, I am never doing this again. And I would get back in the bed after I finally got my breath back and had gotten a lot of that stuff out. I would get back in the bed and I would lay there and have a hard time going back to sleep because I was afraid that if I went back to sleep it was going to happen again. And there were a couple instances where I fell back asleep and it happened again. I was that intoxicated that I was throwing up while I was asleep. And there have been a lot of people that have lost their lives from that. And a lot of really famous people have lost their lives from that as well. I'm not going to name the names right now, but a simple Google search can give you some information on that. But some really, really famous people have lost their lives because they threw up while they were sleeping, and they choked on it and passed away. And that can happen. And it's just another reason why. I think one of the reasons I've been talking about this so much lately is, these reasons why that we, don't want to drink anymore, or things that benefit us when we stop, is because I think there are a lot of people right now that are making these decisions to stop drinking. I think it's one of the reasons that there's been a lot of momentum on the channel lately. I mean, it's that time of year where people do tend to drink a lot. I mean, it's the summertime. People are going on vacation. They're going to the lake. They're going to the beach. They're going to hang out at parties. They're doing all these extracurricular activities that often have alcohol involved in them. And, like I said, I just think there's a lot of people here that are, either on the fence and they're trying to make a decision. They're watching these videos. They're interested in this topic because they think that they might have a problem. Or maybe that there's some people on here that have some time under their belt. And, those daily reminders sometimes are good for us to remember when we start getting those cravings and those thoughts that come through our head of why that we want to remain sober, or maybe why we want to stop drinking altogether. And that's a really good reason why. If you're thinking about this at all, if you've got some sobriety in your belt and you're sitting here contemplating, should I go back and have a beer this weekend? Because we often do. We start negotiating with ourselves, telling ourselves that we're okay. We've got this certain amount of time under our belt, and now we have control over it. I still do that with myself often. I will start negotiating with myself. That little person on my shoulder start talking to me and telling me, it's okay now. You could have one beer or two beers on a weekend. But it's these types of things that I'm talking about over and over again. These negative consequences that come along with drinking, as a reminder of why that we want to remain sober. Because I myself forget these negative implications that come along with drinking. I forget about them all the time. When my mind starts to wander off and I start thinking about the nostalgia of the drinking, the fun times that I had, the things that I did when I was drinking, and how loose I was and how funny I was and all this kind of stuff. And I think about how, 2 or 3 beers wouldn't harm anybody, and it would make for a really nice time going to the beach or whatever. I often forget about these really negative consequences. And this right here is one of them. Because for any of you guys out there who have experienced this, it's so scary. And if you've never experienced it, well, that's good. And you don't want to. You really don't. I really would like to hear from anybody else out there that's experienced this, to throw it in the comments and share your experience on there so that others may read it and see that this is not something that I am the only one that experienced, that other people have experienced as well, and that this is something that does happen sometimes with us. And you don't have to necessarily even be an alcoholic in order to throw up in your sleep. It happens to people the first time that they drink. Sometimes it can happen to somebody that's just drinks occasionally. Somebody has a little bit too much. They eat something really heavy right before they pass out, because a lot of times we do that as well. We'll get extremely drunk, and we start thinking to ourselves, man, I need to get some food in my stomach. Because if you're like me, you drank on an empty stomach all the time. And because you get there quicker. If you had a bunch of food in your stomach, it took so much longer to get intoxicated. But if you had an empty stomach, you start drinking and you could feel it more in your belly too. If you're like me, when I would drink, I wanted an empty stomach because I wanted to feel that burn down inside of my stomach when I drank. And I know that sounds weird, but that's just what I liked when I was a drinker. I liked that burning feeling, that burning sensation when I drank, and I liked the way it felt when it went down into my belly. And because I knew that I was getting my fix. I knew I was getting the alcohol. I knew I was going to get a quick absorption rate with that alcohol when I felt that burn down inside my stomach. If I had a bunch of food in there, I wouldn't feel that. So what would happen is I would go all night long drinking on an empty stomach, to the point where I would start, and this used to happen to me all the time too. I used to get the hiccups really, really bad. to the point where I couldn't even talk because the hiccups would get so bad. I would be in the middle of trying to talk to somebody, and let's say I was talking about this drink right here, this strawberry lemonade drink, and I'd be sitting there, have you ever tried strawberry? And I would carry on like that over and over and over again, which would, when I would start getting those hiccups, it would start to create this like gag reflex. So when I would hiccup, like acid would start coming up my throat, and I would almost throw up a whole bunch. I actually threw up a bunch of times after I'd get the hiccups as well. But I would get those hiccups, and then I'd realize I haven't eaten anything all day. So then, extremely intoxicated with an empty stomach, been drinking all day like this, I would go and get a bunch of greasy food and just shove it in my mouth, because I knew I needed something in my belly, and I was thinking to myself, I need to sober up now, and I need something to kind of absorb all this alcohol that's just sloshing around inside of my gut. And I'd eat a big plate of cheese fries with whatever, bacon and cheese and jalapenos and all kinds of stuff on it, and then I'd go pass out. And I'd pass out with all this greasy, spicy food inside of my belly after just drinking all this liquor. And then I'd go to sleep, and I'm laying on my back, and the next thing you know, I'd wake up in the middle of the night choking on my own vomit. And this isn't something that happened to me maybe once or twice. This happened to me a lot. I would have to say probably in the neighborhood somewhere like 75 times. I'm not kidding. It probably happened. There was a period where it was happening probably about every other week, once a month, somewhere around there. It was quite frequent. And every single time it would happen, I would tell myself that night, as I laid there frightened, I'm not drinking tomorrow. I'm not putting myself through this again. I almost lost my life. What if I didn't wake up? I would often think that, what if I didn't wake up right now? And my wife had to look over and wake up in the morning, and there I am laying there, passed away, because I drank too much and aspirated on my own vomit. How is that going to make her feel? And I would start thinking to myself, I'm not doing this tomorrow. And then I'd go back to sleep, wake up the next morning, feel a little hungover, and then what's the first thing I'm doing? Cracking a beer, mixing myself a drink because I was hungover. That's the only way to get it to go away. Hair of the dog, blah, blah, blah. The same thing I always said every single day. Especially when people ask me, are you seriously drinking? It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I go, oh, hair of the dog. It's the only way to get rid of it. And, often too, I'd try to get people to join in with me on the hair of the dog, especially if I was on a camping trip with a bunch of buddies of mine. We'd spend that Friday night getting totally wasted that night before. And the next morning we'd wake up, and I'm out there, the guys are all making themselves coffee, and I'm sitting there drinking a beer. And they'd be like, what are you doing, man? And I'd say, hey, what are you talking about? This is hair of the dog. This is how you make your hangover go away. You got to try it. And I'd try to get people to drink with me, because I felt like crap about myself, and I didn't want to be the only one. That saying, misery loves company, is so true. And I was in misery, and I didn't want to be alone in that misery. I wanted others to be there with me, so I didn't feel like I was the only person in this world that was drinking at 8 o'clock in the morning. I didn't want to feel alone in that feeling, and I would try to influence others to do the same thing as me. And I'm really ashamed of my actions from back in those days, but it's just the truth, and that's what I did. But once again, what another great reason why not to drink today. Because, the old saying, one day at a time, is so true. And that's one of those things that Russell Brand was talking about in his book, is, the saying, one day at a time. Even though, he was saying, even though he knew that he could never have another drink again or use drugs ever again or anything like that, that still to this day, he thinks about it as just one day at a time. That I'm not going to drink today. I'm not going to use today. I'm not going to worry about yesterday, and I'm not going to worry about tomorrow. It's just today. Today is all I have, and that's all I'm going to concern myself with, and not worry about it today. And what another great reason, like I said, why not to drink today. Because if you don't drink today, you're not going to have to worry about waking up in the middle of the night choking on your own vomit. It's not a good look, and it's not a good thing to have to go through. It's not fun. Who wants to go through that? I sit here often and I wonder what was going through my wife's mind whenever she would wake up in the middle of the night, and there I am flopping around like a fish on the floor trying to get the vomit out of my lungs. 3 o'clock in the morning, and there I am gasping for air. What was going through her mind at that moment? I don't know. I have no idea, but I'm sure it probably wasn't anything good. And you know, she's not gonna have to worry about that tonight. I'm not gonna have to worry about that tonight, because I'm not gonna drink today. Tomorrow's another day, and I'll worry about that tomorrow morning when I wake up. But for the rest of the day today, I'm just not gonna drink. And if you're in the same boat as me, let's just not do it today. And let's not do it because we don't want to aspirate on our vomit in the middle of the night. If you've never gone through that, hey, good for you. I'm glad you haven't, because it's really scary. But if you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And let's do it for that today. Let's do it because we don't want to ever wake up like that again. And let's do it because we don't want to wake up like that tonight. So for today, we're not going to drink because of that reason. But with that said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here for today. I just wanted to talk about that. It was just on my mind all morning. I've been thinking about it and all the times I experienced it and how horrible that it was. And I just don't ever want to go back to that again. But anyway, before I hop off of here, I do want to throw in a quick little shout out to one of my family members. One of my family members kind of going through some stuff right now, and Brenda, she actually watches these videos and comments sometimes on here as well. But Brenda, we're praying for you, and I'm so sorry what you're going through right now, but I just wanted to give you a little shout out and let you know that we love you and we're thinking about you. And with that said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here for today, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. As soon as I get done with this video, I'm going to go I'm going to go ahead and hop on yesterday's video and finish getting to those comments. We just had a busy weekend. I just couldn't get to them. The video, we didn't get home yesterday until super late, and then by the time we did, we filmed that video, and as you guys saw, the video was an hour long. There was actually more to it that I cut out. We were out here talking for quite some time yesterday, and after we got done with that video and I got everything edited and posted, I didn't even get up until like almost 7 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And you know, of course, we had to make dinner and all that kind of stuff. So I haven't had a chance to get to them yet, but I plan on getting to them after I get done with this video today. So just hang tight and I'll get back to you guys' comments. But thank you so much for watching today, guys. I really do appreciate it. And for all you new subscribers that are here to this channel, I really do appreciate you being here. You know, this is a great community of people. Everyone here is like-minded and so nice to each other. And don't be afraid to share how you feel. Share your stories here. No one's going to attack you. I don't tolerate that kind of stuff on this channel. I really don't. So if you come on, you want to share, we all appreciate it. And everybody's stories that they share in the comments are going to help other people. And, you know, your story might just be that story that somebody else has been trying to relate to, and you know, that they haven't heard anybody else say something that you've dealt with, and you might share and make somebody else feel not so alone in their addiction and their problems. So please, you know, if you feel like you want to share your story or share something on this channel, please do so. Nobody's going to attack you. Nobody's going to judge you. It's not the kind of community I've tried to create here. I want everybody here to be supportive, loving, kind to each other, because at the end of the day, we all are more alike than we are different. Yeah, we're all different people, but in our addictions, we're all more similar than we are different. It's just mind-blowing how even though in the depths of our addiction that we think that we're all so alone and we're so different from everyone else, and we're the only ones who ever used in this manner, to find out that there's so many other people who share like experiences like ours, and they're so much like us. And it doesn't matter what your addiction is, whether it be alcohol, whether it be cocaine, or whatever it may be. We all share, you know, gambling, whatever, the similarities between all of us. There are so many more similarities than there are differences. And together, you know, we can keep each other strong and help each other through those tough times. You know, I come on here every single day talking about this stuff, and not only am I trying to help others, but it helps me. It helps me to get stuff off of my chest and talk about things that I'm thinking about for that day. And, you know, sharing my thoughts and ideas with others. It helps me feel better about where I'm at. And, you know, that, like I said, if you feel like you want to share, please do so. love to read your stories. I'd love for other people to be able to read your stories as well. And I'd like to hear if anybody else wants to share about this exact topic that I talked about today. Have you experienced this? What was it like for you? And you know, isn't it so much better not having to worry about that anymore? But anyway, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and hop off of here for today. I know I've said that like 5 times in the past 5 minutes, but I'm really gonna go ahead and get off. So, love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.